The music is awesome. Whoever's producing this shit, good job. Hey, football head, it's your commissioner, Tim Dowling, in lively spirits, joined by
Vice Commissioner too. Lively spirits. We're in a good mood today.
Lively Spirits. It's another Wednesday, October 16th. We're in week. What are we in here now?
Just wrapped 6, looking ahead to 7.
Wrapped up week 6. A whole month and a half is in the books. Shit, dude. I feel like we're really in rhythm here in the season, but still a whole lot more ahead of us. A whole lot more. And I think we've seen several teams, mine included, but definitely Max's team, definitely Blaine's team, Kefler's team, maybe the listener, maybe your team has gone, maybe you don't even recognize it from draft day. You know, there's been made a lot of moves. I was looking at the transaction counter. I'm leading the league with 24 transactions right now in the league. I think someone else is at 23. Obviously Max has made 3 trades. I made a trade this week. So I think like there's the first month, we hopefully have learned our lessons, whether that was overreacting or not reacting enough. It's hard to find that balance, but now it's like, it's getting real, especially if you're 2-4, 1-5, can't really afford to drop too many more games. So hopefully you like what your team is, or shit, you better be playing defense because you might find yourself under the table at the end of the year.
That's a really underrated statement right there. Play defense. People are like, what does that mean in fantasy football? We're seeing it as these guys go on the injury report. You got to be to win a championship. Maybe not to, to just make the playoffs or whatever. You don't have to do all this. To win a championship, you got to pay attention to the injury report. You have to pay attention to waivers. You have to poach guys, even if you're not going to play them. But if you're playing a guy who's starting running back is questionable this week, go out and spend a little fab to get their backup so that your opponent doesn't get them. That's what we're talking about.
Yeah, it's scouting your opponent's matchups, like you said, injury report, backups, or just better available players. And maybe you're set at tight end, but like, hey, shit, so-and-so's available, and I know that's a shallow position. So let me just, if I have room on my bench, I feel good about everything else. Let me just add depth, to the squad so no one else is scoring those points. So it's a game of inches. It's a game of inches. Every fucking point matters.
And in ESPN standard leagues right now, with the extended NFL schedule, after this week, after week 7, there will then be 7 weeks to follow that. So after this week, we are officially halfway. Yep.
For this week, we're halfway. Well, nobody's eliminated yet, and I'm still fighting, and I got the power rankings up and at 'em.
Power rankings.
Bring them up, commish. Or, oh God, that's me, I'm commish.
They're back. Now, I will say, Max asked you to put a little ditty on them, I believe was the quote. No ditty on the power rankings here, but they are refreshed.
Yeah, the last 3 weeks, I haven't really had the capacity to give you a little ditty.
I like a little ditty sometimes, a little daddle, a little witty.
I actually, we probably shouldn't. My lawyers are advising me that I shouldn't even say the D word anymore because Kamish liked to party back in the day. So
you're a big fan of the all white Vans. I mean, do we need to look into you?
What happened? What happened? What are you talking about? What's wrong with Diddy? Did Diddy pass away?
I liked to party. Yeah, that was my old life. Commish is straight and narrow now. Anyways, God, wow, lawyers are gonna have a heyday with this one. We'll get the legal department's calling me right now. We're moving on. Something that hasn't changed.
Yeah.
And I don't think it will change.
No, I don't think it will.
1-5. Lowest points for, least amount of points scored. Damn it, Bobby. Yeah. God damn it is right. You were the league runner up last year. What the hell has happened?
What has happened?
His team, I think, scored less than 70 points last week. Let me pull it up on my phone real quick.
Yeah, it was against me. It was right around 70. That sounds about right.
It was like 68, 70. He, why isn't this loading? Had zeros across the board on his bench.
71 flat. 71 flat. We'll give him credit. He did break 70.
All right, 71 flat. But Calvin Ridley, you know what's funny? I was talking shit about Calvin Ridley and Ramondre Stevenson, but the week that I played him, those two players went off and he beat me.
Yeah.
They haven't done shit since. Like literally like 0.9.
You reverse jinxed yourself.
That happens all the time. Happens all the time. He's got a carousel at quarterback, trying out Daniel Jones. He did look good with Tracy Jr., but Jeremy McNichols, Jerry Jeudy was in there. Slayton. He also has had Kelsey and Jonathan Taylor may have been his first and second round pick. It's just Cooper Kupp is hurt, but maybe looking to return. Pacheco, a lot of injuries. That's fair, but he was kind of, I'd say, sluggish to address these lineup gaps, and you got to anticipate.
That's where the criticism is 100% fair and warranted, because that's a brutal run of injuries there. I mean, that's 4 of his top 6 draft picks probably, but to not be proactive on the waiver wire, hurt him.
or be trying to make trades or whatever.
Try to trade.
Kind of like, I guess I'll pick up so and so. He's not even spending a lot of money on Fab. He's got one of the more larger Fab budgets. So, Bobby, you're facing another skunk. All right. That's the reality right now. You're facing another skunk. Moving on. I've dropped Chun. Chun lost as well. He's now 2-4. I dropped him from the 9 to the 11th spot.
Each week that Chun doesn't start Baker Mayfield, drop him again. Put him at 13 if you have to, if he's not starting Baker.
Well, I've already looked at his lineup for this week, and Tampa Bay is playing the Baltimore Ravens.
Can't do it, I guess. So whatever.
Well, it's just funny. He should probably started him like 3 out of the last 4 weeks. And then the week now that he wants to play him, it's like a better matchup for Burrow. I just don't get what's going on in Chun's
he
mind.
Does want to play him this week. Oh, that's funny. Look at you. You've scouted already. Let's go.
Oh, yeah. And then, the best player on Chun's team is, like we said earlier, is Brock Bowers, number 2 tight end. Been a real consistent spot for Las Vegas. Terry McLaurin. Pretty good wide receiver for Washington.
Pretty good.
Chris Olave didn't do well. Ayuk didn't do well.
Chris Olave had like a generationally bad game where the one on his first catch, it's like a throw to the line of scrimmage. He gets cracked, fumbles it, and is concussed. So he leaves with negative points.
Yeah, it's too bad because it would have been solid. I think McLaurin and Olave are his better wide receivers. Chun actually doesn't look that bad on paper, but just a lot of head scratching managerial decisions. I got him at the 11th spot. I dropped Matt. Now is in the 10th spot. Even though he's 3-3, Matt's team is one of the lower point scorers. He did put up 122, but lost this week. And Matt's team, just to me, not very attractive on paper. A lot of Falcons, a lot of Cardinals, James Conner, Antonio Gibson.
Yep.
Not attractive. Not a pretty team. It's going to be scrappy, but Matt is a good manager. And hey, maybe, just maybe, CMC will return sometime this year, but probably not. And then
it's actually remarkable that he's won 3 games.
He's out for the year.
Well, listen, people are saying, the fact that Matt actually has, and this is true for a few teams. I'm looking at this actually, like I'm in the same boat where I have a negative point differential. Matt has a negative point differential. So more points have been scored against Matt and I than we have scored. And so it's just like getting lucky a couple of weeks with the victories.
Yep. That's why both you are lower. The 3-3 teams are a little bit lower. We'll go to the 9 spot. I know he's itching to celebrate his first victory over Chun. And now Brees Be With You is 1-5. Congratulations to get in the win column. How does it feel?
Better than it did. Yeah. We're happy to be here. AJ Brown, he's back finally. Hopefully that's going to pay off for a long, deep season run.
That was the big trade for you, was AJ Brown. And then your boy, the namesake, who was coming off a stinker, has a big game, I believe on Monday night, 19
without scoring points, without scoring
a touchdown.
Yeah, without scoring touchdowns. So yeah, we're happy about that too. As long as Devontae doesn't eat up too much production in that offense, now that he's a Jet. Yeah, or maybe even easier touchdowns. Just get us down.
Yeah, I would think the addition of Devontae Adams is going to help that whole offense open up a bit more, especially Garrett Wilson. I wouldn't expect Devontae Adams to be putting up anywhere near what he was doing the last 2 seasons in Green Bay with Aaron Rodgers, but it's still gonna be, I think, net plus for all fantasy players involved. So congrats, Max. I did move you up. I like your squad. Jordan Mason should be returning to the lineup sometime soon. So hopefully. Fairly solid. Then we've got Tank Bigsby in the 8 spot. I dropped him a couple because he lost to yours truly, but a really solid performance. I think really it was actually the namesake. Tank Bigsby was kind of a dud in his flex. Dallas with Jake Ferguson had a terrible game. Dallas is a shit show, really. A bit concerning for Rico Dowdle owners. Got their ass kicked by Detroit. And then Buffalo's D gave up quite a bit against the Jets. Also, Kieran Williams was on a bye week. Blaine's one of those teams that he traded a lot to kind of revamp. I think he's settled, and he'll probably never bet Josh Allen again. He is a little bit weak at wide receiver, I would say.
Well, but he might need to change the name to his name is Tank Dell, because Tank Dell might be the more reliable tank.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, his name is Tank Dell. Maybe he's got a couple tanks. His name is Tank.
I think Blaine has a high floor. I don't think you're going to see Blaine go below like 95 points too often. Blaine's got a pretty good floor.
Speaking of floor, how do you feel about your floor? 115 this week. You get the victory. Yep. I do move you up 1 spot.
I played Bobby, and so the bar, no offense, Bobby, but the bar wasn't too high. I just kind of my guys had to do their job.
Specialty positions came up big.
Specialty positions were great. TJ Watt forcing 2 fumbles. Even though I've been holding on to the Ravens defense, I've made 2 really good defensive streams so far this year.
Yeah.
And this was another one of those. So I'm happy about that. I'll tell you what, it felt good, and I knew this would happen. It felt good not having to start any of those Chiefs last week. And now Kirk Cousins didn't do anything more than what Patrick Mahomes has been doing, but it felt better. It felt better. The expectations were not as high, and now the Falcons get the Seahawks this week. And even though the Chiefs are coming off a bye, I think I'm still going to roll with Cousins versus the Hawks, just because Seattle they haven't shown the ability to stop opposing offenses too well.
We're kind of in a phase of the season right now where it's like you gotta prove it to me, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I feel good about my team being 3-3.
Tony Pollard had a good run as well.
Tony Pollard and Jahmyr Gibbs are 2 top 20, like set it and forget it running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs double digits without a touchdown, and so I'm really comfortable with his role in that Lions offense, because I think whereas David Montgomery is a little bit more touchdown dependent. And now it's funny because he's honestly been touchdown dependable. Like he has scored, I think in 18 games with the Lions, he's scored in 15 of those or something. So like you can bank him getting into the end zone. However, if he does not really get the usage in the passing game like Gibbs does. So Gibbs has got a great floor. Kind of just that's what I always target in running backs is guys who are going to catch passes out of the backfield. But overall, I feel good. If the playoffs started today, I would be the last team that snuck in there. I'm in the 6th seed right now, so can't complain.
I do expect you to fully compete, but I'm right there at your heels and bump myself up 4 spots. The Commissioners win again, back-to-back victories. We're 2-4. We're top 6, I think, in points scored for. I had a massive week, 137 points. On a whim, I pick up Caleb, divine inspiration. Caleb Williams, Keenan Allen, picked him up for free. They get me half of my fucking point total. I haven't scored less than 105 points. Najee Harris with a 36-yard touchdown run looks amazing. Debo Samuel does well, and Saquon I didn't even need him this week, and great specialty positions as well. So I got a trade this week. I traded Amari Cooper for Rico Dowdle. At the time, seemed like I kind of robbed him, but now Cooper finds himself on the Bills, so that'll be interesting. So I kind of lost one there. You win some, you lose some. I had dropped Evan Ingram, who ended up going off 10 catches on 10 targets, 100 yards. So now I think Colin has him. I do have Dalton Schultz. And I have TJ Hawkinson waiting in the wings, and that's why I felt like I could do that. But Caleb Williams and the Keenan Allen stack, I was very excited about. They're on a bye now. So I'll go back to Geno. I got Tyler Lockett in the flex this week, but I don't know. I was just, feeling real good about that London game, and I'm glad to put up 137, finally show a little firepower. I'm here, man. And yeah, what do you think about me jumping 4 spots? I know I see freaking producer Max Industry Man over there in the background rolling his eyes. Come on, what do you got to say? Go ahead, say it to my face.
I mean, wow, yeah, just very gracious with the spots moved. I mean, we'll see. Yeah, you're 2-4. You gotta prove it. You still got a long road to hoe. Not that I don't either. Actually, all 3 of us, I'd say, we're all in tough spots. You think? Who are you playing this week?
Well, that'll bring us to the 5 spot. I'm playing the Andy stack, who got a big win against Nakua Matata. He's 4-2. Yeah, Andy at one point was 12 in the power rankings. He has now climbed all the way up to 5. I've kept him there. Brock Purdy's been a real solid quarterback for him. Bijan Robinson scores 2 touchdowns last week. So Bijan owners are hyped about that. He actually did the Atlanta stack. Talk about the Andy stack. The Atlanta stack started both Algier and Bijan Robinson. That's the kind of thing that makes sense pure number wise if you're just looking at the numbers. But anyone else who's I'd struggle to do that. I don't want to deal. I'd trade one away just because I wouldn't want to deal with. I don't know. Maybe I'm OCD. I don't want both running backs starting.
No, I mean it would be like if you were. I think the best version of that would be it would be the aforementioned Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery because they're 2 top 20 running backs. So again, the numbers say start them, but the Bijan Algier thing feels a little bit more like almost starting a healthy Kenneth Walker and Zach Charbonnet each week, where maybe combined they get you 30 points, but that's because K9 gets you 21 and Charbonnet gets you 9.
Yeah, I mean, you're really banking on Bijan Robinson runs for 95 yards and 2 touchdowns. Algier runs for 105 and a touchdown. That's a massive rushing day for the Atlanta offense. And that's not going to happen week to week. So they're playing Carolina, it's a better matchup for them. Even though Carolina kind of started the season pretty good, I think they're returning to earth.
Well, Carolina started terrible, and then Andy Dalton came into the fold and they played better. And now they're returning to earth. Yeah.
But James Cook was hurt, so he's kind of forced to play that. So it'll be interesting. I mean, that's kind of a headache for him, but he was backs against the wall. Let me play both these Atlanta running backs. T. Higgins go ahead.
I was just going to say good on him too for actually making the move, because James Cook was a game time decision in that late primetime game. And so he's just like, I'm not going to get stuck with a goose egg in my lineup, which I think a lot of people did, who maybe kept James Cook hoping that he would be able to suit up. Ultimately, he doesn't. So even if Algier wouldn't have gone off like he did, he still would have ended up with more points than James Cook, who didn't play.
Yeah.
So good move. That's what we're talking about. I don't want to say like that's the difference between he and Bobby as a manager, but like those are the kind of things you got to pay attention to.
Well, it's definitely the difference between Andy and Nick Red as a manager. Red was never going to make that move.
What a drive-by. Jesus.
On game time. That's kind of shit Red would never check. And that would have been the difference, you know. Good play. Alan Lazard, even though he was a top 10 running or wide receiver. We had been telling him to play him. He does. He scores 20 points. But now Lazard gets knocked down a notch now that Devontae
and it's kind of a fluky 20 points too, right? It was on a Hail Mary, really. A 50-yard pass. Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, his previous performances, he's caught a lot of touchdowns
for sure.
But
I think his value,
where he lands
in
the pecking order now with Devontae Adams in that offense. So Andy, you know, I'll keep you right at the 5. I don't really like your depth, although Mark Andrews, that's kind of a headache, but he had a good week. We'll see if you're for real. Number 4, I dropped Colin down a spot. He put up 84 points this week.
Yeah, tough week for Colin.
Colin is due for a new quarterback, and I think he might have addressed it. I'm not sure. I'd have to we'll get that into the waivers. But Dak Prescott, not the guy this year. Overpaid. This is why I think not only are quarterbacks overrated in fantasy football because they're deep. You can win a championship with Blake Bortles, for Christ's sake.
Mm-hmm.
But I think quarterbacks, and I'm going to stick with this, it's my controversial hot take, quarterback is overrated in real life football as well. The majority of quarterbacks in the NFL are not great. I would put Dak Prescott there. I would put Geno Smith there. But they're starters. They're Pro Bowlers. And yeah, there's a lot of responsibility on the quarterback, but my God, is it a team sport? And it's all about offensive line, all about the weapons, all about a good defense. It's more than just the quarterback. So I'm going to stick to that. And I think Dak Prescott is a great example of someone who's overrated and overpaid.
Well, and there's also just that offense. You already talked about it. Like it's getting sticky for Rico Dowdle, and Ezekiel Elliott has not been viable. Like maybe some people thought he would be returning to that offense this year. And CeeDee Lamb is even experiencing some of it. And there's no wide receiver below CeeDee who you feel comfortable starting week to week. So there's a lack of talent there in Dallas.
Yeah. I mean, he probably was going to lose even if he did play like Justin Fields, who he's had on his bench with some rushing touchdowns. Also, like Dallas Goedert had a goose egg. DK Metcalf obviously didn't have a great game on Thursday night. But Joe Mixon's a bright spot. For Colin, but yeah, tough week. Still 4-2 in a good position. Keep him at 4, and then I bump up the main thing, Louis Lanza, LL, because Montgomery, we had mentioned him earlier. He's been such a stud, honestly, the last like couple of years in Detroit.
Just so dependable, like touchdown dependable.
Physical runner. It's like, was he the same guy in Chicago? I feel like he was.
And for 1 year, I think Max had him that year.
We saw it. We knew.
But I feel like
General Montgomery.
But that was like 1 year. 1 year. And then it was like 3 suspect years.
And he was also, I feel like, was more of a 3-down back in Chicago, where it's like getting a little bit more targets and thrown to. And I feel like he's put on like muscle, or he just seems like a stronger physical back now.
Well, and they're both fresh. The way that the offensive coordinator there in Detroit manages him and Gibbs throughout the game, they're both fresh in the fourth quarter, and you can see it. They are like running through the line and falling forward on every tackle in the fourth quarter. They rarely get stopped and go backwards.
Detroit was close to making a Super Bowl last year. They're going to be competing again.
Even Jalen Hurts, Aiden Hutchinson, though, I don't know. That's a big loss.
It is a big loss, but they're still a really good.
They're right there. Yep.
A lot of good performances from Lou, 151 points. It's the weekly high. Jalen Hurts, Bucky Irving with 18.5 in his RB2 spot.
Honestly, Jalen's the big one because Jalen and the Eagles come off a bye. They look pretty good. And in the namesake, right? I don't really know if he's the namesake, but he's got the Jalen Hurts graphic. We know Lewis is an Eagles fan. Jalen Hurts playing well, it really projects good things for Lewis going forward.
Yeah. Garrett, oh my God, what's his name? George Kittle has been a more consistent tight end in the whole league, and he's got him kind of a set it, forget it. That's a luxury. Yep. And then I want to give him so much credit. Again, shout out to his IDP. The strategy for the defensive player, and a few people have been doing it this year, is the pick up and stream. And he hits another home run with Brian Branch, another Detroit Lion, gets a forced fumble, 2 pass deflections, and 2 interceptions.
What a game.
So huge game from his defensive player. And then we'll go to the top 2. These guys haven't changed in a couple weeks. Even though Nakua Matata had kind of a lower game and 92 points, maybe I could have bumped Lou up to the 2 spot. But I kept Jordan right there. Kamara, Jackson. I think Zach Moss was the goose egg for Jordan. Hurt him this week. But now that Cooper's in Buffalo, that's a really good trade that he's feeling. I don't know. I mean, looking at his team here, Amon-Ra St. Brown is his first round pick, has probably been a disappointment. It'll be.
I don't think he's returned. He hasn't returned on that investment.
And Nakua's been hurt. It'll be, I don't know. I think Kefler's probably trending down at this point a little bit. We'll see. And then I kept Camille at the 1 spot, 140 points. Derrick Henry, Jaden Daniels, 30 points from Chris Godwin makes up for Trey Sermon and Marvin Harrison duds.
Yep.
So yeah, kind of an easy one for Camille, 140. There you have it. And he's 5-1, still atop the standings in the power rankings. We've got not a lot of parity so far this year with 4-2 teams and a 5-1 team. So like 5 teams are right there at the top. So we'll see what happens in week 7 and who plays who.
Yeah, like we said, we're not halfway yet, but it is starting to shape up like maybe 3 or 4 teams are already kind of locked into some playoff spots, or at least they're going to almost have to lose that positioning based off of a bad injury or something like that happening. Because they look pretty good, pretty well balanced.
Of these 5 teams, I think looking at what we just reviewed on their lineups, I think Andy Stack and Nakua Matata are the ones that are maybe the lower tier now that I'm looking at it. And
could slide a
I
little
realize
bit.
I still have him, Jordan, at number 2, but I could probably drop him down just looking at his. I mean, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, the balance of like Lewis's lineup and Collins' lineup, pretty good, pretty solid.
Yeah.
Okay,
right on, that's power rankings. Let's move
power
along.
rankings. Yeah, I do want to give, even though maybe we should save this for the true halfway point, but I do just want to give, as we get into recent activity, a quick update on the moves, because you brought that up earlier, your move count, and I thought that was interesting. So got it pulled up here. Tim has made the most moves this year with 24. Not to be outdone entirely, though. Right behind him is Jordan and Blaine with 23 moves. And then you got a lot of guys in the teens, drops all the way down to Lewis, who has made 11. And then here's the 4 managers who have only made single-digit roster moves. Matt with 9, a 3-3 team. Damn it, Bobby with 8, a 1-5 team. Myself with 7, a 3-3 team. And Chun with 7, a 2-4 team. So I don't know if there's a direct correlation to moves versus wins, but it kind of looks like there is. There kind of looks like there is.
Alex, you got to get out of that group. You don't want to be in that group. That's a bad group to be in.
It is a bad group to be in.
But I think there is a difference, though, in moves versus available depth. I think for the most part, aside from a few moves that I've made to strengthen my depth, I've had an okay job, or I've been in an okay place doing things like benching Travis Etienne the last 2 weeks because I can plug in Tony Pollard. Like I always draft 3 running backs in the first 3 or 4 rounds for a reason, in case something like that happens. You know, I've been getting by with Patrick Mahomes, and I've just made like one move to correct something that I don't like and that I don't feel comfortable with in that regard. Some of those other guys, I don't know, because you look at Bobby's bench and it's all injuries. So you got to make more moves to address injuries, right?
The other big thing about Bobby, $100 of fab is his budget still. He hasn't spent a single dollar to go after anybody. Trey Sermon, any of the backups for Jonathan Taylor or the people that have been hurt on his team, he hasn't spent $1. So that's another big correlation.
Okay, so then to get into the moves officially for this week and the dollar amounts spent, we're going to start with the anti-stack. Again, staying active and trying to find the hot hand for certain guys. Now this makes sense because he is the owner who, or I hate saying owns players. I just don't like it. He is the manager that rosters James Cook. So he goes out and he spends $15 on Ray Davis, who looked really good on, I believe it was that Monday night game, that primetime game. So he adds a backup right there. And honestly, a player who could be getting just more playing time in general because of how good he looked the other night. And it's a good thing.
Spends $18 on Juju Smith-Schuster.
Right. The reason why I brought up Ray Davis first, because there was one other bid for him. Blaine thought he could maybe get him for $1. Turns out it's not the case. But then, Jordan spends $18 on Juju Smith-Schuster when nobody else in the offers report put in a bid for him. So he overpays, but at the same time, Juju had a really good game the other week, and coming off a bye, we know that Rasheed Rice and Hollywood Brown are not going to be coming back. So you figured Juju has a pretty safe spot in that offense. Colin goes out and gets Evan Ingram, who you already mentioned. Say
about the Chiefs, there are rumors, couple rumors that Chiefs were looking at DeAndre Hopkins, and the Chiefs are also looking at Deontay Johnson. So the Chiefs are also in the market to trade,
Deontay Johnson would be very interesting. Wow.
Yeah, which I think Lou has Deontay Johnson, and DeAndre Hopkins is currently available on waivers for us right now. I just dropped him.
Okay, so then the tight end sweepstakes for Evan Ingram was pretty competitive. Colin gets him for $11 after Blaine put in an unsuccessful bid of $6 and Jordan put in an unsuccessful bid of $5. So pretty good return on the value there.
I think it's a really good budget. Good for $11. Evan Ingram had the most. Last year he had the most receptions of any tight end, and was the top 5 or 10 tight end. He was in there, and he had just a monster game in London, even though he did have a fumble. The reason that I dropped him again, I have TJ Hawkinson waiting in the wings, was I don't believe in Trevor Lawrence. I think there's been a lot of conversation this year. Is Trevor Lawrence a bust? I think so. I think that guy's gotten too many excuses, has been pampered. Jacksonville, I just don't have a lot of faith in. Now, that being said, they may not win a lot of games, and maybe Evan Ingram is the only beneficiary in that offense, and maybe Trevor Lawrence, that's a safety valve, and that's what we saw in London. So probably should have just held on to him, but I was making moves, and I think he'll still probably be a contributor, make a lot of contributions to Colin's team.
I think so. I think with any tight end, right, you're going to have a couple of weeks where they have 2 catches for 17 yards, but the targets are going to be there. I myself spend $2 on the Commanders defense and special teams. They're playing the Panthers this week. I like that matchup, so I think I'm going to stream them. Blaine spends $1 on Pop Douglas in New England. Fun player. If you are forced to watch the Patriots play, he kind of flashes off the screen, drops Rashard Bateman, and then
he drops Mario Douglas.
Right. I'm just going through the dollar amount spent here. And then Keffler spends $1 on Blake Corum, who looked great last year for the national championship, Michigan Wolverines. And that running back system, we know that running backs kind of thrive under McVay. So we'll see. We'll see what happens there because Cam Akers gets shipped out to Minnesota. Blaine puts in a bid for him for $1. However, a player involved in the acquisition was already dropped. And so Blaine was unsuccessful in securing him. And so then when I look on the rest of these acquisitions, it doesn't look like Cam Akers has found a home yet. So Cam Akers is still out there and is now a member of the undefeated Minnesota Vikings. An interesting play, perhaps for somebody. And then, just, Aaron Rodgers is back on a team. Rashid Shaheen, who's been good, is now banged up. So he's back onto waivers. Max, you added Jamal Williams, maybe playing a little defense against your opponent there for this week. Christian Watson had a good game, so you also went out and got him. Chun finally dropped Jerome Form, but picks up another former backup running back, Dearness Johnson. And so we'll see what happens with Tank Bigsby and Travis Etienne and all that stuff. But Dearness is kind of the third man in the Jacksonville backfield. Defensive players and some more other special teams units get added, but for the most part, kind of a quiet week for recent activity.
I mean, Evan Ingram being shallow tight end, and then the big bucks on Juju Smith-Schuster.
Yep. Kind of headline it.
But there were some other headlines in the NFL news, and I talked about them a little bit. So Amari Cooper gets traded to the Buffalo Bills, and Devontae Adams gets out of the Raiders Las Vegas and goes and reunites with Aaron Rodgers.
And guess what is all of a sudden projected to play this week against the Steelers. Funny how that happened for Devontae. Ankle felt a lot better all of a sudden.
The hamstring was fine.
Or the hamstring,
yeah. So he, I don't think he was ever happy in Las Vegas. And I think that's a franchise that has just struggled for decades, and maybe has to do with ownership, but they haven't been good since John Gruden was the coach back in the early 2000s.
Yeah, so, I feel like Derek Carr maybe had 1 year where he was kind of like a sneaky, maybe like fourth in the voting for MVP or something. Derek Carr had like the one good year. Yeah, but that's been it really.
Yeah. And so he gets out of there, primarily unhappy with his quarterbacks, and reunites with Aaron Rodgers, who is pseudo offensive coordinator, head coach of the New York Jets now. That Robert Saleh has been fired. So now the Jets played really well, actually, a lot better than they have against Buffalo on Monday night, and only lose by 3 points when that was a very windy game, tough kicking conditions, some missed kicks. But Breece Hall looked good. Garrett Wilson had a good game. Did we talk about Aaron Rodgers got picked up by Colin?
Yeah, for free. I mentioned he's back on a team.
Yep. So that might be interesting. I mean, do you have I'm a Devontae Adams owner, so I'm happy he's just going to be suiting up.
Mm-hmm.
I still think he's an elite route runner. He may be a bit older, may have lost a step, but I'm hoping in this offense, with the familiarity and the elite arm of Aaron Rodgers, even though he's older, and then having younger talent like Garrett Wilson, I think it should be a pretty beneficial, even if he's just on the field getting me 15 points a week, like I'm hyped.
Oh God, you take that every week. Yeah. I'm in agreement with you. I think that honestly, because there's no real strong like tight end presence, I think Tyler Conklin is the starting tight end for the Jets. I feel like once they get into the red zone, Devontae just becomes like the de facto number one target. And it's going to be, some of it will be that elite route running coming through, but a lot of it is just going to be backyard football where they have that natural feel for each other. And Rodgers is so good at throwing from different arm angles and throwing on the run and his ball placement. He's really become elite at that. And Devontae just knows how to respond to him when he's scrambling, when he's out of the pocket. And so I think that We talked about Garrett Wilson's stock not really dropping or being affected by this. I totally agree. I think that between the 20s, Wilson's still going to be the guy that hits a deep cross and goes for 40 yards on a catch, or works some magic up and down the sideline, like in a 2-minute drill or something like that. Wilson will be fine. I think that helps the run game, both Allen and Breece Hall. But then Devontae in the red zone is really going to be, I think, a weapon. And kind of like, I equate it, not that they have any chemistry together, but sort of like what Stephon Diggs was doing before Nico Collins got hurt, where like Nico Collins was also scoring touchdowns, but Nico Collins was like the home run hitter and really helping the Texans move the ball between the 20s. And then the way that Stephon Diggs, as just a veteran wide receiver, and you can see it across the league, you can pick, Tyler Lockett, you can pick however many guys you want, just like that dependable guy that knows how to work zone coverage and everything else. So I think it'll be great. It'll be great for all parties involved. Because you're not really rostering Tyler Conklin, or maybe you're starting Alan Lazard in like a deeper 12-man PPR league, right now. So you probably can't do that, or at least you want to.
That hurts Andy's because Alan Lazard has been playing top 8 wide receiver so far this year.
So that's significant. That is significant.
Yeah, that's gonna eat into his value. But we'll see how it plays out. Additionally.
In Buffalo, I think it's huge for Josh Allen.
Yeah, I mean, I was just thinking Josh Allen hasn't had really a number 1 wide receiver except for Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a great connection, obviously. Amari Cooper is not Stephon Diggs, but Amari Cooper's hands have not been consistent, but it's really, I think, hard to focus and be successful in shitty franchises. And that's what I think can be said for Devontae Adams and also Amari Cooper, because Cleveland is a shit show. They're in denial. Deshaun Watson is in denial. The coaching staff is held hostage by his contract and that player. And it's just, so it makes everyone else worse. Amari Cooper still can be explosive. He obviously had, some great years in Dallas. So I'll be excited. I'm happy for him. I'm excited to see what, he's going to look good in a Buffalo jersey. So
he will.
Those are kind of the 2 big moves. And then I mentioned keep an eye out for Kansas City still maybe trying to land a wide receiver as well.
I saw it's that like kind of famous like Pawn Stars meme or something like that. And the title was like, we want a number 1 wide receiver on the open market. And they're like, the best we can do is Sky Moore. That's Andy Reid, system guy, people always shine, but I do think they need kind of that number 1 that it seemed like Rasheed Rice was becoming.
Yeah, it's too bad they lose him, but Xavier Worthy's a weapon, and then man, is Travis Kelce gonna return to form?
Hey, you hope. Sheesh.
He's a little distracted, I would say.
Yes.
Okay. Are we ready to move on to weekly preview, week 7? I'm not sure if our producer, this guy is on a smoke break. Where'd he go? Chop. Jesus, man.
Hey, I wear many hats in this world.
Yeah, where are you going? What are you doing? What are you doing right now?
I'm here at school. I'm facilitating film discussion and film education.
You are
people in the door.
Right now you're on the
that's what the jacket is. That's like a members only jacket.
I said in the text. Go back and read the text verbatim.
Are you going to be available the rest of the episode, or are you?
Yeah. I think we're all set.
We can cruise through these 2.
Look, I don't give a shit about your hopes and dreams. When you're here working this podcast for an hour, that's where I need you to be.
Okay, 15 minutes. Here we go.
All right, well, let's do it. Smoke break's over. Week 7. Let's get right into it. Breece be with you, 1-5, playing Nakua Matata.
Yeah.
I'll tell you right now, though, I'm picking Breece be with you. We're on the up. I don't give a shit what the check marks say. We just got our first win. CJ Stroud's playing well. Breece Hall, we just talked about the Jets. I love seeing Eckler in the lineup. I think he's going to be sneaky and really a contributor the rest of the year. Brian Thomas Jr. had a great, huge game. Your boy A.J. Brown is here, the big guy you traded for him. Sam Laporta, love it in Minnesota. That could be a high-scoring affair. Not sure that I like what's going on in the flex area. Frankie Louvu was so good, but then injured.
Yeah. We're still playing with stuff. Brian Thomas Jr. had a really bad game last week.
That was the week before he did well.
The week before he had a great game. Eckler against Carolina. Brian Robinson Jr. over on the other side here for Kef may not play.
He was out last week.
Yeah. So if he doesn't go, that's a huge win there for Eckler against Carolina. Laporta finally got into the end zone. First touchdown of the year
on a really cool trick play.
1 catch, 57 yards, 1 touchdown. So we need volume there, right? Like that's great and it's fun to see, but I need more than 1
targets.
Catch.
Get those targets up. Get those targets
volume.
Josh Downs continues to be a huge contributor in Indianapolis.
Kind of proven Commish wrong.
Yeah, I mean,
the last 3 weeks,
9 targets.
Look at those
targets,
targets.
9 targets. Yeah. So we're happy we got him for free.
Now,
and
my
hopefully we can hit on him.
My question is Josh Downs' success, you think, tied to Joe Flacco? And are you comfortable with Anthony Richardson coming back, perhaps?
Yeah. Joe Flacco has thrown for 2 touchdowns in the last 8 games he's started. The ageless wonder, Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I mean, it's good for Michael Pittman owners, too.
Honestly, because when Anthony is in there, he's a hell of an athlete. And what he's doing is running the ball.
Well, yeah, and he's missing open targets. He's going for the home run and throwing interceptions. Yeah.
Yeah. So we have to monitor that situation.
Why not play both of them, huh? Come on, Indy.
play them both.
Flacco and Richardson.
Put
Why not?
Richardson at a running back position, right?
I mean, get crazy with it.
And then he can throw, can throw on the run whenever he wants.
Why not?
You know what? I think Tim might be onto something here. Kamara's been extremely solid, number 2 overall running back. They're at home this week, so you like that. He probably gets into the end zone, and he's going to catch at least 5 passes. So he's good, but will he have a great game against Denver? I don't know. That's a pretty good defense. You talk about Brian Robinson Jr. being questionable, and I know Kamara was a little dinged up leaving last week.
Mm-hmm.
So just 1 bad hit, and he's back out. And then, Amon-Ra on the road against Minnesota's number 1 ranked defense. Lad McConkey, like, what are we doing here? Amari Cooper.
Amari Cooper playing Tennessee. Tennessee's
but first week, how much of that playbook does he know? Like, I don't know.
Got a great secondary, and
this is true.
And then
here's
on the road against Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay's playing well, and that's like, I don't know. Might be tough.
The biggest thing is that he's got Alvin Kamara in his starting lineup and the Broncos D in the starting lineup.
Yeah, so I mean, cannibalize a couple of points there.
Yeah, right. So that's very un-Kef-like. So I don't think this is going to be the final lineup for Kef.
Well, if it is, I'm with Tim, and I'm on you.
I'd love to hear it.
Down with Kef. Down with Kef.
Kefler, I will say, for those who need a quarterback, myself included, did just label Jordan Love as likely to trade. His boy. Yeah.
Interesting.
Back healthy, playing well, but I think Jordan's just like, what do I do with this guy? I can't start him and Lamar. So,
right.
Yeah. Interesting.
Some help.
Okay, well, we're picking Max this week. I think this is the week of great equity, great equality. We're going to see parity return to the Homies Fantasy Football League. So I'm picking all the underdogs here, except for Chun.
All right.
Except for Chun.
So this game was almost game of the week. No, I'm just kidding.
We got Maleg Skunk Boy versus Chunder Achievers. That's his name, right? Yeah.
The skunk, he's not skunk, but he's skunk in all our hearts.
Oh, he's future skunk. Eventually, he's due. So we talk about this all the time. He's finally starting Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I don't know.
Baltimore at home when Joe Burrow is playing against Cleveland in Cleveland.
Yeah. After Cleveland just shipped off their number one wide receiver, Deshaun Watson might get benched for Jameis. Like, that seems like Cleveland is just going to roll over and just try to get
Cleveland's not that good.
No, Cleveland's not good at all. What a dude, Baker Mayfield.
Yeah, I don't know, John.
Stud.
I don't know. We're big fans of Baker Mayfield on this show. Josh Jacobs been pretty good for Green Bay.
Yep. Tyreek coming off a bye. We'll see what they do there. I don't know who's quarterbacking.
Tyreek Hill is going to prove it right now. And same with Waddle and any Miami Dolphin. They got to prove it. Is it still Skylar Johnson as their quarterback? I mean,
Skylar Thompson could be, probably is.
Yeah. Terry McLaurin. Terry will be good. It'll come down, I think, to Tyreek and Josh Jacobs here.
Yeah.
On the other side, on Matt's side, do we like Arizona against the Chargers?
I love that matchup for Kyler. Yeah, I do.
Alexander Mattinson.
I don't. I actively dislike his. I actively dislike his running backs this week.
Yeah, Mattinson's not. That's not great. Not a great matchup.
Connor had a down week last week, and he's kind of one of those streaky players. Now the Chargers defense is not good, but you can see he's been on the decline for 3 weeks in a row now.
Yeah, only 7 carries last week. Interesting.
Yeah. Drake London, Seattle secondary is the strength of that defense, so we'll see how he matches up. It's a home game for Atlanta, so they're playing on that fast turf. Huge target share. Zay Flowers, streaky again, but he's kind of trending in the right direction as far as, kind of catching lightning in a bottle here. So you love to see those numbers.
I like the targets overall here, and he's a little gadget. He'll get a carry or two. That's not too bad. Kyle Pitts is having a career year, and we know Seattle's linebackers are terrible, can't cover. So I'll make a prediction and say that Kyle Pitts outscores Drake London this week.
I like that. It's a little fun game within a game there to pay attention to. Jameson Williams, home run hitter, but guess what? He's been swinging for the fences and connecting more times than not. Had another huge game last week. So I think this one's Matt, and I think it's Matt pretty easily.
Yeah. Now that we broke it down, I'm liking Matt as well. Both on Matt. Who technically by the projections is the underdog there? By the projections, it's Matt 107.
Yeah.
But not by record.
Yeah.
I don't even know what game of the week is. Real quick, can we just we kind of make it up on the fly here.
Blaine and Colin, maybe. Blaine and Colin, or me and Lewis, if you're going by records. But is there like a good grudge match? Maybe you and Andy.
I'd love to beat Andy.
Let's give it to Colin and Blaine. Two guys that love to hear us talk about him.
Yep, and they're fans of the show. They seem to tune in.
Yeah. Okay. So Lewis and I.
Lewis and I next, or Lewis and Alex next. You have the check marks here.
Yeah, but Lewis doesn't have, Lewis hasn't adjusted for bye weeks, returning and stuff. So Jettas will be in there somewhere, probably over Jaden Reed if he's not healthy. Definitely got to get DJ Moore out of his lineup. So I'm not too scared of anybody else other than Justin Jefferson on the bench, but that's a big ace up his sleeve that he's yet to play.
I wonder if he'll stick with Brian Branch or if he'll pick up a new defensive player this week.
Yeah, I mean, Darnold's been pretty good with his ball security this year. I know he's prone to throw an interception or two, but you figure Minnesota will be sharp coming off a bye, playing a divisional opponent who they have a lot of tape on.
At home, yeah.
Yeah.
Bucky Irving. I think Bucky Irving has a lower week.
But that's tougher matchup. Pittsburgh secondary, really good. Joey Porter Jr. and Action Jackson back there. Good safeties, of course, as well. Yeah, kind of tough matchups for Lewis, I guess. But then I got a couple guys injuries that I'm monitoring. Keeping 2 tight ends is nice because if Kincaid can't go, then I plug in Freiermuth and they're about the same. When you look at overall,
Robinson, your wide receiver too.
Wan'Dale's fun, but also here's the thing. If George Pickens and Russell Wilson have chemistry, and I'm not saying they will.
Is Russell Wilson playing this week?
Russell Wilson via Mike Tomlin is the starting quarterback this week.
Why? I thought Justin Fields
has been playing good, but Tomlin is a man of his word. And he said that when Russell Wilson came into the team, that he said, you will have the opportunity to lead this group of men when you're healthy. And he's fully healthy now. They have 2 weeks until the bye.
Oh God.
What part of the hot dog is Russell Wilson?
He's the middle. Yeah, he's the middle. He's not a fun bite. It's not fun.
Yeah, you just got to get through it.
Yeah.
But so we'll wonder how that'll affect that offense. I mean,
I think
Justin Fields was having a lot more rushing ability, I think, than Russell Wilson now in his career, and we're taking some red zone opportunities away from Najee Harris. I'm thinking about me first and foremost here.
But so if my 2 questionable guys right here end up camp playing, or the practice reports are like, they're going to maintain that questionable status going into the game and not be cleared by Friday, then that's an easy switch for me to put Freiermuth in there and to put Pickens in there and to see what they look like with Russell.
Yeah. I'll tell you what. It's gonna be an uphill battle. You got some tough matchups for your running backs. Wando Robinson has a nice floor, but that's a tough matchup.
Yeah, I mean, I'm honestly feeling pretty good about Pollard versus Buffalo after just watching Breece Hall run against Buffalo. Buffalo's defense isn't. I know it's at Buffalo, and Tennessee is a lesser team, so they probably won't have as many offensive snaps. It's not like Will Levis is Aaron Rodgers out there and can maintain drives. But Pollard has been solid this year. It's not like I can bench him. So yeah, I'm looking for a big game from somebody like Stephon Diggs. I'm hoping Kirk Cousins, unfortunately has a big game against the Seahawks. And then who knows, Worthy coming off that bye, Super Bowl matchup or Super Bowl rematch against the Niners in San Fran. Hopefully KC comes out ready to play. And then, maybe TJ Watt wrecks the game. Maybe the Commanders get a defensive touchdown. Younghoe Koo is a fucking baller. So I feel good about my floor again. I think I'll probably be right around this 110 where they have me projected. And Lewis is a little unpredictable without a full lineup, but this will be a scrappy one. I think I can't really call it.
As much as I would like to see parity return to this league, I think Lewis has got it this week against you.
Mm-hmm. That's a fair assessment. I will say if fucking Doug Peterson would just put my guy Travis Etienne on the injury report for this week. Sorry. Just put him on the injury report so I can move him to my IR spot. And then guess what? I'll go pick up Russell Wilson. He's sitting there right now for free.
Why not?
Do it. I don't. No one else is doing anything good for me.
Stack or tight end stack?
Yeah, why not? Double stack with your wide receiver and tight end. How about that?
We're running a little bit long so far. I think we're picking Camille, unfortunately, as much as we'd like Damn It Bobby to win. I don't think we need to even waste our breath here. Camille's gonna win.
Sorry, Bob. All right, we'll get into these last 2 then.
You got to show me something, Bob. You got to show me something. Spend some fab. Come on, do something. Make a trade.
So this is Andy Stack.
I'm starting
and
Gene Smith
Dowling
this week because Caleb Williams is out. Starting Geno, he's back in. I'm going to trust him. Let's talk about the Hawks.
Should be a shootout this week. Listen, it's tough. You play 3 games in 11 days and you lose all 3 of them. It's tough. Okay, that's not a fun locker room to be in, and I can't even imagine, if I'm being honest. However, you listen to these guys talk, you listen to McDonald talk, and they know that the toughest part of the season is behind them now. That's extremely difficult. They have not hit their bye week.
Yeah, sure. You had to start off with Detroit.
Bye week yet. Yeah, start off with Detroit. You get a trap game in the middle. Yeah, trap game in the middle against the Giants, and then a divisional game against the Niners. And Brock Purdy just doesn't lose against the Seahawks, I guess. So tough sledding there for a little bit. But this is a chance to bounce back, go on the road. You're galvanized, hopefully, as a team. Guys are getting healthy. I look for it to be a big offensive game, a big shootout. I hope the defense comes to play, but I think they're gonna have to score more. Like, this seems so simple, but they're gonna really have to score the ball to win this game.
Yep, and that's what I'm hoping for. I mean, Geno Smith was like leading the league in passing attempts, passing yards. Obviously, he's had a couple bad. A really bad game against 49ers for some really killer. I was at that game. That's something else I want to talk about. You saw me on TV. That was your commissioner. I was there. I'm a real person, and I was loving the Seahawks, and I was doing my best to support them. But Geno Smith, those are bad interceptions. I don't know what it was. I almost felt like, he's completing like 70% of his passes before then, and then those, I don't know, the 49ers, they're intimidating. There was something in his head. He looked off mentally. And I think it is just having those 3 games in 10 days in the short week with a new coaching staff and a new scheme, I think was obviously extremely challenging, but I'm hoping will be kind of like fire tested for the team, right? Like, hopefully we learned a lot from these. We were feeling that way after Detroit, feeling a lot less better after the last 2 games. But I think it's a really good test. Hopefully we can learn from that. Still not sure if Byron Murphy's going to be back, but the Hawks did trade for another defensive lineman. We did lose Rayshawn Johnson. I thought Rayshawn Johnson didn't play very well, and our linebackers. Jenkins, thank you, Rayshawn Jenkins. And I don't think our linebackers played very well either. We got to get back to some gap discipline and better tackling, especially from Jerome Baker, number 17.
You can't just be forearm shoving guys thinking you're going to knock them down.
We're also missing Abe Lucas. So to be 3-3 with all those injuries, with that tough a run without a bye week, it's not the worst thing in the world. So it's definitely a get right game against Atlanta,
a team they can beat. It's not like they're going to Buffalo or to Baltimore or a team that really intimidates you.
Yeah, and another thing I found encouraging, again, I thought the offensive game plan was actually good, and they had Charbonnet in there earlier in the first quarter on that first drive, running the ball up the middle, getting him involved. It was just Geno Smith with those killer interceptions. Otherwise, it's a whole different ball game. I like this little background we've got here with the Seahawks. Same. Yeah, wow. Yeah. Credit the artist, whoever you stole that from.
I don't know, but it's not official.
You gotta get legal on the phone again.
It's not the official team logo, so we won't get shut down.
I thought you were gonna pull up iMessages and find my screenshot, my screen grab at Tim. Let the people know.
Yeah, I thought that too.
That would have been good. Yeah, that would have been a good idea. Wow, would have loved that production note. Yeah, hours.
We should have done that.
Yeah, that's too bad.
But can I send it to you right now? How does that work? How long is that gonna take?
Just text. Yeah, sure.
I'll tell you what, we don't have time to talk about Bobby and Camille's matchup, but we got time for me to send a picture of me on TV and get it on the screen.
I will say this. It's really fun when the team you root for has a primetime game and you get to hear what the national opinion is, what the narrative is, the national narrative on your team. And people are like, Geno Smith can play. It's really cool how the Seahawks have fostered this environment and really rallied around this guy, because for the most part, Michaels and Herb Street, and going back 2 weeks to when they were on Monday night and it was Buck and Aikman, everyone's like Team Geno, and they're not like I feel like
a shit game against the Niners, dude.
yeah.
It was like the worst game he's had, I think, at the Seahawks.
Sure. But I think it was more so just kind of like, this is a team that can still compete. You know, it's not like when all of a sudden you get one of these games when it was like the Bengals and the Giants on primetime and you're just running out of things to say in the third quarter.
Yeah. True. And we made a game of it. The third quarter was, I mean, the Laviscus Chenault touchdown kick return is the only second time that's happened this year.
Mm-hmm.
And we made a game of it. And even though the defense, gave up some really long drives, some really big plays, they actually did a decent job of like holding people to a field goal, or holding the 49ers to a field goal in that first half. And so we were only down by 6 or 7 points in the third quarter. And then we had a big drive, and unfortunately Geno threw another interception, and that kind of just sucked the life out of the stadium. But there we are. Look at
that.
I got so many text messages and emails, even, and a random Facebook message. I saw you on TV, and there it is. I was pissed off because he's off screen.
You do not look happy. You do not.
No, I was intense. I was like really watching the game, and we had this guy behind me off screen.
Was it this guy right here in the middle?
No, that's a kid. His dad was kind of a dumb shit. And then there's a different guy off screen further behind me to the right who was just immediately criticizing the team in the first quarter. We weren't even losing. But like it was a tough throw, tough catch, incompletion. And he's like, oh, you got to catch the fucking ball. Come on, DK. I was just like, dude, what are you talking about? Like, that was fine. Like, just, there's a lot of armchair quarterbacks, myself included. But if I'm going to be at the fucking game, I'm going to be positive. I'm going to try to contribute and support the team. If you want to be a fucking hater, you can sit on the couch or get on a podcast and talk all the shit you want. Yeah. But if you're in the crowd, be positive, be a good fan. And this guy was obviously just jerking himself off, thinking he was a big dog for hating on the team.
And look at our man Glow Munch over here. Just bringing the people to their feet, calling for them. Rise together.
The 12s, baby.
The 12s.
We did get a little defense chant going at one point.
Okay.
Yeah. It was fun. It was a fun time.
Yeah. I mean, Seahawks are going to be entertaining all year long. I don't think we're watching like a losing team.
And it's fun to watch. I said this in the chat, the group chat. It's fun to like watch our new coaching staff, right? First time head coach, first time NFL offensive coordinator, figure it out. They're figuring it out week to week. And again, I think 3-3 at this point, a lot to learn from. I remain optimistic. And like you said, they're going to be competitive and fun to watch.
Yep. All right. Game of the week. Let's fucking go.
No, wait, whoa. We didn't even, are you picking me to beat Andy Stack?
Bring that back up real quick there, producer.
We talk about it.
We just got, you're just like, I'm rolling with Geno, and here's
hot talk. Yeah.
Lots of cues. You don't like that? Lots of cues, but I imagine all those guys play. Najee, that's probably load management. Devontae's going to be out there for some snaps. Debo, I'm sure that's load management. So you're good. Steelers defense against the Jets.
That's the only thing. I got Devontae going against my defense that I don't really like. But
again, it's kind of like the Cooper thing in Buffalo. Now, we already talked about the improvisation between he and Rodgers and how he could still wind up in the end zone without really knowing the plays. So yeah, you don't necessarily love that. And your special positions have been really good. They've been really good for you this year. Doesn't look like there's too much.
Michael Pittman.
You could play Pittman.
But I kind of like Tyler Lockett stack with Geno. But Tyler Lockett's kind of due to have a disappearing game because he's caught like 3 touchdowns the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Or, 1 touchdown.
But he's been serviceable. Let's see Andy's team. I think you got a pretty safe floor, but I don't really see a high ceiling this week. That 115 is probably about right for you. Brock Purdy against the Chiefs.
Algier against Seattle.
The double Falcons again. The
I
Dirty
think
Birds.
they're gonna run all over us.
You think so?
Yeah, man. Last week, Jordan Mason had 73
Fair.
yards before
they
he
need to
went out.
figure it
And
out.
then little fucking the backup, what's his name? Isaac something, like ran for over 100 yards.
Mm-hmm. A lot of that was on one play, but you're right. You're absolutely right.
Where the hell is Byron Murphy?
Yeah. I'll tell you what, his wide receivers don't look good. Tight end, solid. It's a good match. It's a plus matchup too. Maybe he thinks about putting Andrews in there, but he doesn't like the Tampa Bay defense, I guess, for Andrews matchup. I don't
Byron
know.
Murphy does return to practice this week in a limited.
That's huge. That's huge. That's this is tough because I don't really see a whole lot of boom potential on either of these rosters.
Whoa.
What?
Saquon Barkley. Revenge game in New York
against
the Giants.
Max, great catch. That's your boom.
There.
That's your boom game.
I love
this
you,
guy. This guy.
I love you,
great
man.
catch.
You're the fucking
Great
best
catch.
producer this show's ever seen.
Andy's got to fucking pull Alan Lazard out of there. That's got to change, right? He's not actually being serious about that. He needs to change that up. James
can't be serious about that.
Can't be serious about that. James Cook, didn't he just go out and spend money on Ray Davis?
Yeah, as an insurance policy. So, if it's a game time decision and he knows he can play one over the other, I think it's helpful. But if they're both active, then it's a headache. And he's in the same place he's at right now. Kind of not feeling good about it.
And, we were just talking about how Cleveland kind of is rolling over and dying, right? Like this might be the week. So T. Higgins, who I don't think has been great this year. He could have a big game. He could.
I'll go Tim on this one because I love the Saquon narrative. The Saquon narrative's lit. So we'll go with that.
Fuck yeah, dude. Fuck yeah. All right.
The win streak continues. So the win streak would continue.
Be good. Game of the week. We got Colin at 4-2 versus his name is Tank Bigsby. Blaine.
Look at the projections on Blaine. Holy.
Wow, 124. Huge. Who is this guy?
Yeah.
He's loving
he's got everybody healthy. He's got most his guys in plus matchups. There's not really a defense on that board right there that you're scared of. Paulson Adebo, another one of these great just like streaming IDPs that has turned into a rock star for him.
Yeah.
Nothing not to like here when you look at Blaine's
Aaron
team.
Williams has really been a stud, and Las Vegas ain't great. Oh yeah, solid RB1.
Oh yeah. Okay, so then looking over at Colin's team, who we've liked Colin's
new quarterback, Aaron Rodgers, new tight end, Evan Ingram. We like DK, Mike Evans, and Jamar Chase.
He's got the best wide receivers, and now you add Ingram to it. He's got the best pass catchers in the league.
Yeah, that's a really good floor, which I think are better than. So Blaine has the check marks on quarterback and running back, but Colin has the check marks on all the wide receivers and tight end. Might come down to specialty positions, which at this point, Blaine's got it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. I think you said that really well. I do. Even though the check marks are on Blaine for the running backs, I mean, Chuba's had a great floor, and Joe Mixon, I know he's been hurt, so that ranking there is a little deflated. Joe Mixon is not the 28th best running back right now.
He had a great game last week.
Yeah, Max, if you pull up the games that Joe Mixon's actually played in, he's been crushing it. So, that second game is where he gets hurt, so he leaves that game early. So the two games he's been healthy, he's gone over 25 points both times. And I think without Nico Collins in there, Joe Mixon is an integral part of that offense. So the running back is really important in this matchup. It's really balanced, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, it's tough without a full roster, though, to get all the way on to the ball hogs.
Does he have a defense on his bench?
That's a good call. He does not.
Currently. This will be a tough one. I'm gonna pick Glow here for the sake of parity.
Sure. Glow winning would be great for parity. Absolutely. I'm looking at defense and special teams and who's available out there right now. You got the Bengals and they're projected 8.3 going against the Browns. I bet you he adds them. That seems like a pretty fair projection there. Also the Lions going against Minnesota, but I don't know. I think that's going to end up being a higher scoring game than people imagine. Yeah, Bengals are probably his best bet there on the wire to fill that hole at defense and special teams, but I don't think it's enough. I think Blaine wins this as well. Kind of in agreement tonight.
Yeah. There you go. Good luck. Good luck, everybody. That's what episode? Week 6. Looking at week 7.
Yep.
We're getting closer to halfway. You ain't dead yet, huh? Ain't that right? Producer.
Ain't that right, Kamish?
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
1 and 5.
Never dead. Never
4,
dead.
3 and 3. All right, guys. Thanks for listening. We'll see you next week. Set your lineups.
Go Hawks.